If your wearable breast pump suddenly feels weak, your milk output drops, and you're wondering, is it actually the pump motor dying? Take a pause. It probably is not your pump motor, and replacing your pump is possibly the wrong move. In most cases, the issue is much simpler and much cheaper to fix. The real problem is most likely an air system failure. So wearable breast pumps rely on sealed air systems to create a vacuum. Now, if this seal is even slightly compromised, suction will drop immediately. And I mean slightly, so a little edge here, a diaphragm that's not fully flat and in place, a little valve that has just stretched slightly, a backflow protector that isn't sealed perfectly flat, even just a little millimeter air leak will turn into a reduced suction pressure. So the first thing to check is not normally your pump motor. It is all the soft silicone parts of your pump. Now, the first culprit is normally your valve. Now, this is a duckbill valve. This is the one that you commonly see, but for a lot of pumps, they are different dependent on the brand. Medela's look very different. So have a look at your manual if you are not sure which part is your valve, but primarily their job, if you can see it here in the Momcozy, is to take milk from your flange tunnel and push it into your collection container. Now, when they are new, they open and then snap close nice and quickly between your cycles. But over time, they soften, they stretch, and they lose their shape. So you might see that it is slightly open over time rather than sitting nice and flat. So when this happens and they get soft and stretched, they don't seal fast enough. The vacuum then drops between your pulls and the suction feels weaker even though nothing electronically has changed. So if you pump daily or on a very regular basis, you will find that these valves actually need to be replaced every 2 to 4 weeks. And this is something I think most mums underestimate how often they need to be changed. So if you have started to experience some weaker suction, go ahead and change out your valves as one of your first points of call. Okay, so diaphragms are another sneaky one that often can cause some loss of suction. Now, again, they are different based on your pump. This is the Momcozy M5, and your diaphragm sits generally nice and flat. But if you don't push this in nice and flat, or it's not quite sealed all the way, you can lose your suction. So wearables are really so much more sensitive to air leaks than your traditional pumps like your Spectras, because the motor is so small. It's a self-contained unit. It really needs that perfect sealing. That one little misalignment will equal a weaker pull. So if you find, again, you've changed your valves, but you're still having an issue, go ahead, pull your pump completely apart and then put it back together. Take the time, do it slowly, make sure all your parts are nice and firmly in place. Give them a little tug to make sure they are, especially with pumps like your Momcozy M5 or even your Eufys, where you have this extra lip that needs to go over your collection container. Make sure you push these in nice and firm and run your fingers around them at the end. You want to make sure that all your silicone parts are nice and firmly in place. You really will be surprised how this can often fix your suction problems instantly. Okay, flange fit and why 1 to 2 millimeters matters. So we're going to talk a second about fit, but proper flange fit, because this is why I see so many mums replace perfectly good pumps. If your flange, so this size here, is too large, you'll lose vacuum pressure around your nipple area. Air slips around the base instead of creating a focused negative pressure, and that means the pump can be pulling, but you're not getting efficient milk removal. Now, if this is too small, then your nipple compresses against the tunnel walls, so then that starts to restrict blood flow, increases your swelling, and can actually reduce your milk flow, even if the suction feels strong. So wearables, even if it's just a millimeter or 2 difference, can really change your suction dynamics. And here's why. Traditional pumps often maintain a stronger, more stable vacuum. They've got the electrical consistent source, whereas wearables, they rely on this small pump motor to perfectly sealed internal chamber. So if it isn't a nice, precise fit, the vacuum system becomes unstable. Now, if you are somebody that has elastic nipples, this actually gets a little bit trickier. If your nipple expands slightly during the pumping, you might start your session with a really good fit, but then 5 minutes into it, you suddenly are rubbing the tunnel walls. It's also, though, the tunnel length. Now, you'll see with wearables that more often than not, they actually have a really short tunnel length. Now, this can be an issue because your nipple, it hits the back of this tunnel, and then you'll feel the suction, but the output drops because you've got the compression of your milk flow. So your pump feels weaker, but your parts are new. If your pump feels weaker, but your parts are new, here's what you should be doing. Re-measure your nipple sizing. It does tend to go down as you progress with your postpartum. So you might start off at a larger nipple size and then reduce down the further you get into your postpartum. So remeasure regularly during your pumping. And then check how your nipple looks after 2 to 3 minutes of pumping. Look for the swelling, look for the rubbing, look for blanching, and then try going down or even up 1 to 2 millimeters and compare your output. You can use things like flange inserts so they sit in your flange tunnel and reduce your flange tunnel size. These are super inexpensive. A lot of pumps even come with these. So there are a lot of options to reduce that flange tunnel size without having to replace your pump or even replace your flange. But just keep in mind, wearables are far less forgiving with the fit than your traditional pumps like your Spectras. So before you blame the suction strength of the pump, just make sure that the vacuum is actually given its best chance. Okay, suction pattern differences. Now, here's a lot of things that most people don't talk about. Many wearables have different suction patterns. So some will use a pulsed suction, so it pulls, then releases, pulls, and then releases. Whereas with your traditional electric pumps, they often maintain a partial vacuum. So they go up and then hold that vacuum and then go up and then hold it. So it doesn't cause it to drop to 0 between your cycles. So it will actually make your suction feel more dramatically weaker. There are some models like the Medela Magic that do have that more continuous like feel. The Willow Go is another option. But sometimes you might feel that it's weaker suction, and that is simply just due to that more pulsed nature of most wearables. Okay, another issue that is often overlooked is actually battery performance. Now, wearable pumps, I've mentioned it a few times, they're a small pump motor. They run on small lithium batteries, and that battery will as that battery drains, the voltage can drop off slightly, and that can affect your pump motor strength. So even a small reduction in the motor speed changes how much the vacuum the pump can maintain between cycles. So some pumps even will automatically limit the peak suction as your battery gets low to protect the motor and extend the runtime. So if your pump still turns on and it sounds normal, but the vacuum strength isn't quite at full capacity, before you assume it's broken, go and fully charge your pump and then test it again. So you can expect as your pump gets closer to needing a full recharge again, that suction will start to feel weaker. So go ahead, recharge it, see if that fixes the problem. But then sometimes it is actually a pump motor failure. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen, especially if you are using your pump on a really regular basis. So wearable pumps, I've said it, they've got their small pump motors. They're not built like your hospital grade plug-in pumps like your Spectra that are made for multiple users. If you are pumping multiple times a day for months, there is going to be wear over time. So here's how you tell that it might actually be the pump motor. So you might have one side that is consistently weaker even after replacing all the valves and the diaphragms. You've gone through and you've changed all the parts to new and it didn't impact the suction at all. You might hear a different sound with your pump motor, so it might sound a higher pitch, it might sound strained or even uneven. You might even find that your pump vibrates differently than it used to. Big telltale is if it starts to overheat faster than normal. So if you're doing your normal pumping session, but you feel your pump is getting a lot warmer than what it used to, that tends to lead to it's a pump motor issue. Or your suction just fades mid-session, even on that full charge. These are different to air leaks. Air leak problems improve immediately when you replace things like your valve. Your pump motor wear does not. So pay attention to the total use. If you've been pumping 4 to 8 times a day for 6 to 12 months, that's actually hundreds of hours of runtime, and these motors are consumer grade. They're not designed to last forever. They're not designed for multiple users. So make sure first you have ruled out the new valves, the new diaphragms. Make sure that you've got that correct fit, that you have a full battery on charge. And then if it still feels weak, then yes, it might actually be the pump motor reaching its end life. At that point, contact your pump support if you're under warranty, and if not, it actually might just be time to replace your unit. So if your pump feels weak, don't firstly assume it is broken. You have options. Replace the valves, check your diaphragm seals, replace your diaphragms, confirm that you have the correct flange fit. Test it, make sure it's fully charged. Is it actually recharging? In most cases, the suction loss is mechanical, not electrical. These pumps run on the vacuum integrity. If the seal isn't perfect, performance drops off. So fix the system first, and then once you understand how the vacuum system works, you stop guessing. You can stop panicking, you can make those easy fixes, and then stop needing to replace any pumps that aren't actually broken. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask and I'll do my very best to answer. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up. That really does help. And if you want more videos like this, then please hit that subscribe. Cheers.